I do want to talk about the game from last night, the football game from last night, because that was funny for a number of different reasons. And, Mike, I want to bring back our conversation from last week on how you believe recreatable turnovers are, because the Philadelphia Eagles, this is funny what's happening with the Eagles. So now A.J. Brown, last 3 games, 100 yards each game. They've lost all 3 of the games. This team, a champion, loses when Lane Johnson is hurt. Has done so every time Lane Johnson is hurt. They need more offense. They can't get more offense, and he is vital to everything they're doing. But Jalen Hurts has been exceptional at not turning the ball over, okay? He has been somebody, and this happened to Joe Burrow, okay? When you talk about Jalen Hurts, he's had 7 turnovers in the last 2 games. He had 7 in the previous 26 before that. Joe Burrow on Sunday hadn't thrown an interception for 137 passes. Then all of a sudden, the Bengals go from up double digits, 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, to down double digits because he throws consecutive interceptions. Hurts threw 2 interceptions in his first 10 games. Yesterday, he had 2 turnovers on the same play. So I ask you, Mike, how recreatable do you think this is when Jalen Hurts has been ball protection the entirety of his career, and yesterday he has a disaster of a game to end all games? I didn't even know. They went back in all the tracking. They couldn't find a play. They stopped tracking, or they didn't start tracking until 1970-something. They couldn't find a play in which a player had 2 turnovers on the same play before, ever in the history of the sport.
It's hard to do, Dan. That's why. Interception and then a fumble, because the other guy has to fumble. You can't get 2 turnovers without the third.
But, Mike, what do you think about turnovers as recreatable in the context of the conversation we were having? Because I was arguing, among other things, the randomness of the sport. Even if you are someone who causes fumbles, you have no probabilities of recovering the fumble. Like, that's total luck, whether you recover a fumble or not. So I am curious. The Philadelphia Eagles have won the championship because they are 40-2 in games in which they win the turnover battle. They're frustrating their players, who are star players, because they'd like their coach to play more aggressively, but he's terrified of turnovers. What happens to the Eagles last night that they can't win in a game where they hold Justin Herbert to 150 or fewer yards and sack him 7 times?
I do agree that fumble recoveries are more random than forced fumbles. Forced fumbles can be taught, and we saw that last night, that a lot of those were with intention. Those were great plays being made, but I think you explained it with the Lane Johnson thing. The one irrefutable fact about Philadelphia, and they've been a very strange team that has gone back to the Super Bowl twice, won one, having reshaped them. Remember, like the first year they made it, it was all about being decisive. Shane Steichen basically, primary read, Jalen Hurts, you're the most decisive quarterback with the RPO. We're going to burn everybody. Then the following season, the league caught on to that, and they had that Tampa Bay Bucks game last year in which, line in the sand, we have to reshape who we are, and then they go to their running game. I think the running game isn't what it was, and Lane Johnson being out is what you can attribute to them really struggling on the field, because when he is out, they appear to be a different team.
I love the fact that we hide injuries from the media. Because look what happened during the game. Justin Herbert, it's announced he has surgery. They wrap his hand. Did you see the Eagles players when they're trying to force the fumble? They are punching at his hand. They are purposefully going for that, for maximum pain. And I just imagine Phillip Rivers getting attacked like that. He'd likely die. But what the reason why we lie about injuries is we don't want to see what happened last night, where Justin Herbert, it just became so obvious that the Eagles were told, go after his left hand.
This is a championship football team that I can say that last night's game reinforces my belief that it's a championship football team, because to turn the ball over that much and be in that close a game on the road against what is a good team and good quarterback, the Chargers won't go anywhere in the playoffs because they need their offensive linemen, and they are hurt, and Herbert gets hit way too much. Like, the amount of times that Herbert gets hit, it is a crazy thing that we are now witnessing. Herbert has separated himself from Tua forevermore, and he's a quarterback that anybody would want for 10 years because he's always available, among other things. But last night, they got, 6 points off of 5 turnovers? Like, the Chargers can't go anywhere, and it really does make me wonder. This AFC, when I tell you, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, Drake May's offensive line is hurt. Like, the Colts were going all in on this season And I'm not as sure as David is that Phillip Rivers won't play a snap for them. Are you sure of this? You feel like you're positive that I just saw Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's got the highest passing yardage total in the sport this season in a single game, and none of us thought he would have been playing by now if we were checking in on his career 2 years ago.
I can totally see him playing in a game. I can.
Do you know what it is to get in game shape? He's not in game shape. Joe Flacco has not, and I could be wrong about this, Mike, and let me know.
He didn't miss 5 years.
Hasn't Flacco gone straight through? Did I miss that?
He was looking for a job at times, but Joe Flacco, I would maintain, is in as good.
He's always in fighting shape.
Yeah, he's in as good a shape as I've ever seen him right now.
Tony was very excited to say that because he knew it was a universal truth.
He looks great.
He'll be ready and statuesque like that at 80 years old, dragging a dialysis machine all over the field. He will absolutely be ready to throw the football down the field 40 yards to a wide receiver.
He's always been on a roster. I mean, just looked it up. I think there were a couple practice squad stops there, but yeah, he's always been game ready. Have you seen this guy in a polo? My God, pal.
He's going to be 216 and 6'6" for the rest of his life.
He's got appearances in every season. Every season.
Shrink.
Can I tell you guys, though, and I know Mike has been pointing this out over the course of the last 2 seasons, where he is talking about what the aging process has done to Aaron Rodgers. And I'm about to articulate it in something that I saw Sunday where I was like, so that's how people age. Aaron Rodgers, who is the best quarterback I have ever seen, threw a deep ball to DK Metcalf, and I was surprised by it, that it was accurate, that it was down the field, that I'd gotten so used to, so numb to him just throwing the ball so quickly because he doesn't want to be hit, that him throwing the ball down the field and having a 50-yard play surprised me, but not as much as watching him scamper into the end zone, outrunning a 300-pound person to get to the corner of the end zone. And I realized that the aging process had done to the best I've ever seen something that is not surprising to anybody who watches sports and is used to the way people have aged in the past. But nobody's doing it at 44, which is what Phillip Rivers would be being asked to do after 5 years off. That seems an impossible task.
I think Ichiro may have been 44 my last year with him in Miami. I have to check that, but I assume Pablo can. But he was pinch hitting, the spot start, not getting hit by guys who are way bigger than Phillip Rivers remembers. He's not taking a snap.
Hold on. The question that you posed is he insurable? And I think that Phillip Rivers ultimately will be able to legally take the field. And if you look at it, Dan, like, everybody knows it's bleak. It's real bleak. Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard are gone. And now you have to figure out, okay, despite the graphic that you made that has uninsurable in giant letters, I do think that it's not unreasonable to think, and this is the football question, right? You can try to roll the dice with a guy who is a way better athlete, who is young, who is definitively ambulatory, is there to move around. Or you could take the guy whose brain seemingly is still functioning and can pilot an offense. Is it exactly the same offense? Obviously not. Is it a better, safer bet than the alternative, which is guy who is young but doesn't have the trust in, like, the intellectual mastery of the game? Yeah, roll the dice with Phillip Rivers. I can see that entirely happening.
David is shaking his head. I still am remembering, I'm not kidding you when I say this, I am remembering that I think it was Phillip Rivers' second to last season when I see great players who have always been great age in a way that makes me sad or laugh, I do remember it. Phillip Rivers threw a pick six, and I remember comically the way that he tried to make the tackle and had a real athlete jump over him. And I'm going to say that was 7 years ago. Like, I remember as one of the signature plays, it was Willie Mays to me. When I remember throughout the history of my life, Muhammad Ali being beat up by Trevor Berbick. The famous one before that was Willie Mays stumbling out of a batter's box at the end of his career. I know Phillip Rivers isn't those people, but that play was so laughable that I remember it as the end of his career. But he was still slinging at 300 yards a game, and I do believe that he holds the same. Tony, you think I have this wrong when I say he holds the same gunslinger status that Flacco does?
No, he was probably of the ilk before the gunslinger, right? He's like the Brett Favre mold, and Flacco kind of not as gunslingery as him. So if we're putting him in the gunslinger Hall of Fame, I don't think Joe Flacco's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he might be a second ballot Hall of Famer. Phillip Rivers for sure.
So I look at Phillip Rivers and I think the same thing. What are we doing? Is it the number of kids and the grandfather status that makes it that Phillip Rivers isn't always fight shape ready?
He's 44. It's the age status.
Dan, I think it's the loose quarterback sleeves.
Makes
You
your
don't
arms
really
look
see,
small,
you
yeah.
don't really see people rocking that look. And while I appreciate the Phillip Rivers discourse, you're asking all the wrong questions. How bad was this resistance band injury that Anthony Richardson suffered? I mean, you have a premier journalist there in Pablo. We need to find this video. For the Colts to be so desperate to turn to a grandfather because Anthony Richardson cannot play. I mean, most people have decided he can't play regardless. But because of a resistance band breaking his orbital bone, I need to see what that looks like.
All right. I don't think you want to see what that looks like. Anthony Richardson can't see what that looks like because of whatever it is that did to his right eye. I will tell you that I have used one of these devices that is it's not a resistance band, but it is a pole that helps with stretching. It's actually in the studio there somewhere. And it snapped on me one time. It just broke in half. And when it did, I realized that if that had hit me anywhere, it would have done a great deal of damage. So when Anthony Richardson missed a Colts game this season because he was doing resistance band training that resulted in his teammates being around him praying because he'd been hit in the face with something and couldn't play as a quarterback, I don't think, Mike, that you actually want to see what that looks like, because it looks like what you think it looks like. It's a resistance band snapping and hitting a guy in the face in a way that shatters his orbital bone.
Yeah, I want to see it.
It's the rubber band, right?
It's like a rubber band.
Yeah.
It's just
May have had a
Don't
handle
snap
too. We
rubber
don't
bands
know.
at people's faces.